My fiancé's mother gave me abortion pills as an early Christmas present. How on earth do I navigate this situation? I'm sitting here staring at my screen, trying to make sense of what just happened. I still can't fully process it. My fiancé's mother gave me abortion pills as an early Christmas present. Yes, you read that correctly. I'm 27 years old and my fiancé is 29. We're expecting our first child together. How am I supposed to navigate this situation? Here's what went down. We had an early holiday gathering at my fiancé's parents' house. It wasn't a small get-together either. There were quite a few people there. Not everyone at the party knew about my pregnancy, just his parents and brother. The evening was busy, with people chatting and laughing. As we were getting ready to leave, his mom handed me a small gift box. I honestly thought it was something sweet, maybe jewelry or a thoughtful keepsake. She told me to let her, or my fiancé, know what I thought about it after opening it. The whole thing was rushed. There wasn't even a gift exchange happening at the party. Everyone probably assumed she was just being kind since we're engaged. I was tired by the time we got home, so I didn't think much of it when I opened the gift. But when I saw what was inside, my heart dropped. It wasn't jewelry. It wasn't anything remotely thoughtful. Instead, it was abortion pills, mifepristone and misoprostol, the medications used for medical abortions. I felt an overwhelming mix of anger, shock, and sadness. I couldn't believe what I was holding in my hands. Why would she do something like this? I already knew she wasn't thrilled about our pregnancy. She's made subtle comments here and there, but I never expected her to go to this level of cruelty. To be honest, I've always felt that she didn't like me. The rest of his family is fine with me, welcoming even. But she has always been cold. I've tried to keep things civil, but now I wonder if she's harboring some deep resentment. Maybe it's because of my background. I'm from a different ethnicity and I didn't grow up as privileged as they did. My fiancé graduated from a prestigious university, and his family has always been financially well off. I've worked hard to get where I am, and we're equals now, in every way. But maybe that's not enough for her. When I showed the pills to my fiancé, he was furious and immediately tried to comfort me. He assured me that his mother's actions didn't reflect my worth and promised to talk to her about it. While his words were kind, I couldn't help but feel disappointed that he didn't confront her immediately. It's been almost 24 hours, and I'm still waiting for him to take action. For context, our pregnancy wasn't exactly planned, but it was welcome. A year ago, we had a conversation about starting a family, and we both agreed that if it happened, we'd embrace it. And we did. We're happy about this baby. So for her to give me those pills, it's like she's stomping on our joy and treating our child as if they're a mistake. To answer a question some of you might have, yes, abortion pills can be acquired without being pregnant. They can be ordered online, discreetly, or obtained through other means. I don't know how she got them, and frankly, I don't care. The fact that she gave them to me as a gift is what matters. I'm hurt, confused, and honestly a little scared of what this means for the future. How do I move forward with someone who would go to these lengths to undermine my pregnancy? And how do I handle my fiancé's apparent hesitancy to confront her? I appreciate any advice or support you all can offer because right now, I feel lost. This post serves as an update of my previous one, Now Locked, and I want to start by expressing my deepest gratitude to everyone who offered their support and advice. Your kindness truly means a lot to me during this incredibly difficult time. To provide a bit more context, I didn't talk to friends or family about this. I felt that I understood the situation best, and I wanted to approach it from every possible perspective before making any decisions. Let me start with some background to help you understand where I'm coming from. My fiancé, or ex-fiancé, I'm not sure anymore, grew up in a world completely different from mine. He was born into wealth, surrounded by privilege, and lived a life of ease and opportunity. By the time he was an adult, he had traveled the world and enjoyed luxuries that I could only dream about as a child. In contrast, I come from a middle-class family, and even that wasn't always stable. I remember vividly the times when our electricity was cut off because we couldn't pay the bills. My dad would work any odd job he could find just to put food on the table. Vegetables, bread and fruit. Even now, as I type this, the memories bring tears to my eyes. When I first met my partner, I remember telling him about my travels and experiences staying in hostels. I loved those times, especially the ones where I traveled alone. I met incredible people, had deep late-night conversations, and at one point, even thought I'd met my soulmate. I dreamed about that person again last night. In the dream, I didn't get to speak to him, but waking up reminded me of how far removed I feel from my current reality. My fiancé, on the other hand, didn't even know what a hostel was. When I explained it to him, he thought I was talking about school trips. That's just the kind of world he's from. A world where generations of his family attended one of the top 5 universities globally, and where everything was handed to him on a silver platter. Now, let's get back to the situation at hand. I admit I did something manipulative, and I'm not proud of it. It might even be illegal, but I needed to find a way to get him to open up to me. I told him I saw a cool hack on TikTok for a whiskey glass. You freeze water in the glass while it's tilted so you don't need to add ice. I suggested he try it, hoping the casual conversation would make him more talkative and willing to share his thoughts. He didn't mention his mother, but honestly, I didn't care about her at that moment. This was about us, not her. Mike, at one point I joked about his mother's gift and said maybe I should use it, ha. His reaction? A smirk and a glance away from me. That was all I needed to confirm my suspicions. Something was definitely off. To make a long story short, his mother has a history of instability. She once kicked him out of the house when he was only 11 years old, and on the same day, called the police to report that he had run away. She has also made suicide threats and has been diagnosed with a personality disorder. As much as I wanted to focus on what she did, this update isn't about her. It's about me. I sat him down and told him how uncertain I feel about having this child. He responded by saying he would support whatever decision I made. So much for the enthusiastic, happy father-to-be. I've made my decision. I'm leaving the country in less than 2 weeks and will be undergoing a medical abortion. I can't stay in this family, surrounded by their judgment and assumptions. His mother's opinion, that I'm only with him for the money, is completely unfounded. I've never even considered it, and I am financially independent. Yes, I've been living with him, but I am more than capable of supporting myself without his help. When I leave, I'm calling it a break for his sake. I don't want to distress him further because I know he's in a vulnerable place. Before I go, I've put actual jewelry into the box his mother used to give me the abortion pills. I wanted to send a clear message without saying a word. This break is my chance to reclaim my peace and reset my life. In less than 2 weeks, I'll be gone, and I'll finally have the space I need to heal. Thank you to everyone who commented, messaged, and supported me. I've been overwhelmed by the outpouring of kindness and encouragement. I may not be able to reply to all of you, but please know that I am incredibly grateful for your presence during one of the most challenging times in my life. Here's to moving forward. Thank you again. Now on to the next story. AITA for kicking my fiancé out after he joked about getting me pregnant on purpose. I'm 23 and I've been with my fiancé, who's 26, for 3 years. We met while I was on holiday, and a few weeks later he followed me on Instagram. That was the start of our relationship. We got engaged last year, and about a month after that, I found out I was pregnant. We now have a beautiful 6-month-old baby. This year we hosted Thanksgiving, and my fiancé had been drinking quite a bit. After dinner, my mom and I were talking about the wedding, which my parents are paying for. That's when I overheard my fiancé telling my brother, who was also drunk, that he needed to tie me down and get me pregnant before I realized what a dickhead he was. They both laughed it off, but it really bothered me because our baby wasn't planned. I wasn't ready for a child, and although we were using condoms, a few broke, and eventually I decided it would be safer for me to start birth control. In the first month of being on birth control, I still got pregnant. The doctor had warned me it could happen, and my fiancé said he would pull out to be safe. But even then, I still got pregnant. I was scared, but I didn't want an abortion. I believe in the right to choose, but I personally didn't want one. So I decided to keep the baby. I work at my dad's company and my fiancé works at a country club. Money wasn't the issue. I just wanted to do more in my life before having a family. When I spoke to my fiancé about what I overheard, he initially claimed he didn't remember saying it, which I believed since he was drunk. Then he said it was just a joke and that he meant it as a compliment because I'm amazing. I decided to make a joke back and said, "Okay, good, because we're getting a prenup." I wanted to see his reaction, and honestly, I was surprised by how angry he got. He said, "Why would I sign a prenup? We have a baby, a house, and we're never separating. You mentioning a prenup is insulting and emasculating." Although I didn't feel threatened, his reaction made me uncomfortable, especially when he woke up our baby. I told him to leave, and he did. The next day, he sent me a long apology message, saying he was out of character for getting loud. He admitted it wasn't right, and I appreciated the apology, but I needed a couple of days to think things through. The next day, he sent me a bouquet to my apartment, and then on Sunday, he sent me a massage booking confirmation at the country club. He also offered to come over, watch our son, and cook dinner. But tonight, he sent me another message saying that I'm being unfair, taking a harmless joke too seriously, and that he's wasting money he could be saving for the wedding on the hotel. Now I'm starting to look back at things that went over my head before, and I'm wondering if something seems off. But breaking up my family over this doesn't feel right either. Am I overthinking this? Am I being the asshole? Lighters and clarifiers, prepare to listen. I've been getting a lot of questions, so I wanted to provide some more background. When I mentioned a prenup, I wasn't being serious. I might have been trying to provoke a reaction, but based on the 3 years we've been together, I honestly never expected him to react the way he did. Why did the joke bother me so much? About a year ago, he lost his job. He was never really clear about why it happened, and for the next 3 or 4 months, he didn't do much. He said he was figuring out what he wanted to do next. This was also the time when he first started talking about having kids. He indicated that he was ready for that step. We had a candid conversation where I shared that I did want kids one day, but not anytime soon. I was enjoying my job, had trips planned, and wanted to be married first. He agreed with me, and we decided that we would wait 3 to 4 years before starting a family. At that time, my dad's company landed a contract with the country club, which is how he got his job there. But during the months when he was out of work, my friends would joke that he was a stay-at-home boyfriend and I was the provider. They teased that I was paying the bills and rent while he was doing nothing, and he'd be a stay-at-home dad. At the time, it didn't bother me. I had lived in the apartment by myself before we got together, so it wasn't a huge deal. But I think those jokes were what first made me start questioning things. Honestly, I'm not sure how long the condoms were breaking. A lot of people are saying they've never had them break, but I can't say I've ever noticed that happening before. The first time I noticed a break was when it looked like it had split. I checked again the next time, and it was broken again, which is when I decided to get an IUD. He wasn't happy about it, but we compromised, and I started taking the pill instead. I know we should have kept using condoms, but he told me he'd run out and that since I was on the pill, we didn't need them. In hindsight, yes, I should have insisted on still using them, but I didn't want to make a bigger issue out of it. I thought we'd be fine. He knew my opinion on abortion. If I got pregnant, I would raise the baby unless there were medical reasons that made it unsafe. I come from a successful family. I work for my dad's company and have 2 trust funds, one of which I received when I turned 18. Before I got pregnant, I was planning to start my own house flipping business, but I put that on hold when I found out I was expecting. I still work from home with flexible hours, but he's told me that once we're married, he wants me to stop working so I can focus on the kids, and that he'll take care of everything financially. The thing is, I've never really liked that idea. Although I've never had to worry about money, my parents always taught me the importance of financial stability, and my mom specifically always said not to be financially dependent on anyone. On top of that, I'm not sure my fiancé's current salary would be enough to cover all of our expenses. The main reason I haven't told my dad about the situation is because he and my fiancé have a good relationship, and I don't want to blow everything up over what might be an overreaction on my part. Yesterday, we had a conversation about where I stood, but things took a turn when he told me that he couldn't go back to the hotel because they had kicked him out for smoking in the room. He had stopped smoking while I was pregnant, but he said that I was stressing him out, so he had to stay at the apartment instead. While I was on the phone with one of my friends in the bedroom, he came in, grabbed the phone out of my hand, and told me to come and eat with him. During dinner, he said he understood what I was saying and that things needed to change for us to move forward. Then he started listing all the things I needed to do to make things better. The entire tone of the conversation made me feel uneasy, and I could tell something wasn't quite right. I quickly texted my dad, telling him that I felt uncomfortable with the way my fiancé was acting. While I went to check on the baby, I noticed that when I came back, he had taken my keys out of my purse. I didn't say anything right away, but I felt unsettled. He took my silence as agreement with everything he had said. Instead of sleeping on the couch like we had agreed, he went to bed as though everything was fine. I stayed in the living room, and my dad, bless him, drove 6 hours to come get us. My dad arrived around 5 a.m. while my fiancé was still asleep, and we left without saying another word. Now, my son and I are staying at my parents' house, since this morning my fiancé has been blowing up my phone with texts. Before we left, I sent him a message saying he wasn't respecting the fact that I needed space and time to figure things out. I told him that he could stay at the apartment and I would stay at my parents'. We haven't officially broken up or called off the wedding yet. My parents, who are paying for the wedding, said they don't care if I want to cancel it, but I feel guilty about the whole situation. I just want to say thank you to everyone who replied to my original post and sent me private messages. I honestly didn't expect anyone to care about what I'm going through. I feel like every option I have right now is difficult. The thought of being a single mom is terrifying. If my fiancé's behavior gets worse, that would be awful. If we cancel the wedding and end up costing my parents thousands of dollars, I'll feel guilty. And if we break up altogether, we just bought a house together, and we're both on the mortgage and the joint accounts. I've been with him since I was 19, so being with him for good feels just as scary as everything else.